and welcome to CX Today. I'm Rhys Fisher, Deputy Editor, and today I'm going to be speaking with Sharath Narayana, the CEO and co-founder of Sanas, about everyone's favourite topic, AI, but more specifically, the technology and challenges surrounding AI voice agents. Sharath, thank you for joining me. How are you doing?
I'm doing absolutely fine. Rhys Fisher, thank you so much. And we've been great partners with CX today and looking forward to this.
Yeah, no, same here. I'm really looking forward to the chat. I think it's a really interesting topic for our audience. But I suppose before we jump into the main discussion, I guess, could you maybe just tell us a little bit about your personal background, Sharon?
Sure. I think very high level engineer by trade, moved here to the US from India, was born and raised in India about 2 decades ago. Been an entrepreneur for over a decade. Before Sanas, was a co-founder for a company called Observe.ai, which was in the speech analytics space. So speech has been something which is very close and very special. As an engineer, I'm always fascinated by speech, and was fortunate to meet my co-founders at Stanford about 4 years ago. We found a white space in speech, which was doing true speech-to-speech synthesis in real time that got all of us pretty excited. And then we started looking at use cases of applying this. CX was a use case that kind of stood out where bringing in a real-time speech understanding suite of products could be beneficial to everyone involved. And then we got started about 4 years ago, and I'm the co-founder and the CEO of Sonus.
Yeah, well, that's a really amazing story, and I like you mentioned the kind of how you fairly early on saw that link between voice and the CX sector. I know that in the past you've said that understanding is, at the core of CX. Can you maybe share what that means, in an AI driven world, I guess?
I think uh, fundamentally, we've always thought understanding is the foundation for trust and empathy, right? When two individuals can understand each other, a lot of good things can happen. Commerce can happen. And that was the foundation on which we started building Sanas, right? And there was an incident that had happened to us. One of our closest mutual friends, who was studying at Stanford, had to take a leave of absence and go back to his native country, Nicaragua. This was 5 years ago, right? It was an inspiration to start Sanas. And incidentally, when you leave school in between, you're applying to a job with a high school diploma. And the job he found was in a contact center, right? And it was funny because this is a Stanford graduate doing computer science in Stanford, goes back, joins a call center job as a tech support specialist, something that he should be able to do it in his sleep, but then gets let go 30 days later. And all of us are shocked as to like why. And the biggest reason was people weren't able to understand him very well, right? He knew what he had to say, but how he said it became the bone of contention. And that for us, uh, like many a times when you were faced with a very dire challenge, you also smell an opportunity. And the opportunity for us was, hey, if this could happen to somebody from Stanford, just think about the rest of the world, right? So if we can leverage technology to build a speech understanding suite of solutions, we can make the world a better place, a place where people empathize with each other. And at the end of the day, I've always believed call center agents get on the phone call to solve a problem, right? Let's take care of everything else so that two people can talk to each other. One is trying to solve a problem, and the other person wants that problem to be solved at the shortest period of time. And if we can come in and help, we can make the world a beautiful place. So that was the foundation of which we started building. And now we've built many edge algorithms in that journey. We started with eliminating background noise and background voice, and then we figured out we can harmonize accents in real time, which can reduce any frictions in understanding. Then we built an enhancement product that, hey, even if you take away, even if you can harmonize accent, there'll always be situations where people might have disfluencies, people might have stutter, or people just might be tired by talking for 8 hours a day. So can we also enhance the speech quality in real time? And then ultimately, the BHAG was two of the founders of Sanas. I'm from India. Sean is from China. I'm like, hey, if I can talk to you in Hindi and you can talk to me in Mandarin, because that's what we're most comfortable speaking, our mother tongue. And if we can completely understand each other, that will be magic, right? So now we are getting to building language translation as well. So we keep building the stack of products, but the ultimate goal is two people from anywhere in the world should be able to talk to each other without any bias, without any discrimination, um, and build this with a foundation of empathy and trust.
Yeah, no, I imagine. Yeah, sounds incredible. So kind of sticking with the idea of the AI voice agents, we know we hear about a lot of companies that are experimenting with this technology, but
Yeah.
what you often hear as well is that getting them to really understand people is still a bit of a challenge. How is Sanas approaching this?
To clarify, we are not building AI voice agents, right? We've always fundamentally believed that, hey, we have to leverage technology to empower humans, but never eliminate humans, right? And I strongly also believe everybody who's building voice agents is still trying to service a human, right? With that spirit in mind, I think what we are trying to do is, hey, we are a speech AI company. We are not a voice AI company. We understand the fundamentals of speech potentially better than most people on this planet because that's our life, right? For the last 4 years, we've done nothing else apart from trying to understand speech, right? And we felt that, hey, if the world is moving towards trying to automate and bring in voice agents into the picture, if the voice agent is servicing a human, why can't we build an SDK with all the understanding we've had on real-time speech and help an agent and a human interact better, right? And I'll give you a quick short example, right? You get a call from a voice agent, or I get a call from the voice agent. The voice agent does not know where I am. I could be driving a car, I could be in a shopping mall, or I could be anywhere with a bunch of people, right? But what a voice agent won't know is when I'm talking to them on a speakerphone or on an AirPod or in a car where my CarPlay is on, there will be a lot of noise that goes in. There might be other people. My son might be crying in the background or might be talking to me in the background. The voice agent does not know who exactly is speaking to that voice agent, right? So it will never know when it's turn to speak. So many a times people get frustrated with voice agents is because it's either over talking or it is just in a silent mode, thinking that you're still talking or trying to communicate something. This concept is called turn taking. One of the simplest use cases for a speech AI product is uh, because we understand when to take the right turns, we can isolate your voice versus somebody else's voice, isolate all the background noise around you. We can effectively help an agent to communicate with a human better so that there is less people screaming agent, agent, agent the moment they hear a bot talking to them, right? But that's just the fundamental. But today we have large partners of ours trying to use us to leverage our understanding of the speech stack to help determine synthetic calls versus non-synthetic calls, to help determine abuse, to help determine fraud. There are so many applications that you can uncover just by making our platform or opening up our platform as an SDK to the whole world. I'm very excited about how we can help large enterprises and CX organization leverage Sanas to understand speech better, either for a human to human communication or a human to an agent communication as well.
Yeah, no, listening to you speak, it's really kind of clear you've got this emphasis on things like empathy, on that relation between customer and agent or customer and customer, like you said. And in the past, I've heard you talk about building, a more understanding world almost. How does that philosophy perhaps shape the way you design AI for CX?
So I think so there were three key tenets as we started building Sanas for us. So one was this concept of real time, right? If you want to truly promote understanding and empathy and creating a better communication protocol, you need to be able to do it just in time, not 1 second later, not 2 seconds later. You have to do it in a few milliseconds, right? So real time became a key foundational tenet for us. The second thing was how do you actually do speech to speech synthesis at very high levels of accuracy. I'm not talking about 60, 70%. I'm talking about 98%, 99% accuracy, right? And the third thing is, how do you build technologies which is built always human first, right? My simple goal and our simple goal as been building Sanas was, how do you make every agent a super agent, right? Because there's already a lot going on for a call center agent. These individuals have three different screens. They'll have 10 different applications opening up. Uh, and there's a lot going on in that conversation. And a customer would have probably waited on the phone for 20 minutes before they speak to an agent. The first thing that you want a conversation to start with is, okay, not again. I don't want to speak to somebody outside the US, right? I don't want that to be the first reaction going through a customer mind, because then an agent loses his or her confidence, right? So our whole goal was, hey, can we build a suite of speech understanding products where when a customer talks to the agent for the very first time, that first 10-second impact that you talk about, that first 10 seconds, they hear crystal clear voice, a voice and an accent that they can relate to and they can understand very, very clearly. And an agent sounding very confident. In technology terms, we call it high fidelity, like a high fidelity voice with zero background noise and an accent which is relatable, makes that first impression, right? And then they go about solving a problem, then it does not matter, right? But we just want to create that first impression that builds in a lot of trust, and then that builds in a lot of empathy, and that results in better problem solving. And when an agent gets off a phone solving a problem, he or she feels more confident, and then they go on to the next call with that confidence. So we just want to create a superior working environment for an agent, because then they can handle customers with a big smile, with a lot of confidence, and then great things happen. So that's been the overall fundamental philosophy of, I keep telling my team, what's our right to exist and our right to win in this space. And for me, it's this: the concept of doing something in real time, concept of doing something with extreme high levels of accuracy, and the concept of doing something which is human first. Because if you can make every agent who takes a call with Sanas go back home with a smile, then great things can happen.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's a perfect CX sentiment, I think. And sort of picking up on what you've said so far, I think I perhaps already know the answer to my last question, but do you think AI will eventually replace human agents, or is it perhaps the future more about humans and AI working together?
Again, I've written a lot of articles on this, Rice. I think I strongly believe AI was created to make humans more effective and efficient. So they'll always coexist together. I don't think one will replace the other. And being in the valley, in the Bay Area, in the cusp of innovation, I've heard a lot of people I respect and look up to make blanket statements that contact centers are dead, everything will be handled by a bot. And I've been hearing it for the last 12 months, right? But what has what has kept me also grounded and continue to believe that human and AI will coexist is because in the last 12 months, every large contact center I work with, like we work with 18 of the top 20 call centers on this planet. Everybody is hiring more voice agents than they hired last year. I go to every enterprise, they have more work for voice than they had last year. The average call handling time of every campaign has only gone up. It has not come down, right? So I genuinely feel people want to talk to people, right? Yes, there will be AI and voice agents which will come in, which will take away menial tasks, which I think should have not been given to a call center or should not have been handled by an agent in the first place, a call center agent in the first place. But for every meaningful conversation, there'll always be a human in the loop. Uh, I think for me, the world will change when you call 911 and you have a voice bot picking up the phone and you're okay with it. That's when I'll say AI will take over the world. But till then, I think humans will be the epicenter of every AI technology around them, and every AI technology stack will be built keeping human in the loop. And that's the only way you can make this more accepting. and more adaptable.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's it's definitely something we've been hearing in the space as well. It's funny, really, the idea of average handle time's almost changing, isn't it? Whereas it was always about keeping that low. Now, because as you said, people who are using voice are doing it for more complex situations. It's actually a lot more higher average handling time. But that isn't a bad thing. That's just because the nature of the space, I suppose.
And I think what pandemic also changed, right, is because most brands started closing down their retail stores, right, and moved more towards online commerce. They all now start treating their call centers not as a cost center, but as a place where it gives them an opportunity to connect to their end customer and build loyalty, build trust, right? So people are actually investing more and they'll continue to invest more, where nobody is telling the call center agent that you have to wrap up the call in 2 minutes. They're like, hey, solve the problem, build that trust, build that empathy, build that loyalty to our brand, and solve the problem at the end of the day, right? So I don't think that is going away anytime soon, right? People will want to continue to invest in these technologies, but what I genuinely think that AI will make every process more efficient. People will speak to systems, and the systems will take notes, but it is still a person talking to the system, right? And that is a strong belief that I have. So voice will have a very key role in CX, and humans will be the epicenter of all the technology innovation happening around them and for them, but not to replace them.
Yeah, yeah, and like you said, if the end result is a more personal customer experience and customer service, then that's a win for everyone, really.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you for that, Shad. It's a really great chat. And I think our audience are going to get a lot out of that. We discussed some really interesting areas and kind of maybe dismissed some myths perhaps surrounding voice in the contact center there. So yeah, thank you very much for joining me.
No, no, thank you so much. And again, we are excited about helping humans, leveraging the best of AI stack and speech stack. And I think the parting thought for me is uh, our philosophy has always been in making humans sound like themselves, right? And ev I think when you can make somebody sound like themselves, make them understood better, and build everything around a human, I think we can truly change the face of CX.
Yeah, well, I think that is a perfect place rather to wrap things up. I would also like to quickly just thank our viewers for tuning in. If you enjoyed this, please do like and subscribe to the channel. And remember, you can visit CX Today for all your wishes and wants in the CX space. And until next time, thank you for watching.
Thank you so much. Thanks from everybody at Sanas.